Today's anthem for the choir is a very special hymn, Precious Lord, Take My Hand, by Thomas Dorsey. Thomas Andrew Dorsey did not sit down to write Precious Lord, Take My Hand as a songwriter looking for inspiration. He wrote it as a broken man who had just buried his family. In the summer of 1932, Dorsey was living in Chicago and working as a musician and gospel composer. He was struggling financially and professionally. Gospel music itself was not yet widely accepted in traditional churches, and Dorsey often faced resistance, criticism, and rejection. At the same time, his personal life seemed to be stabilizing, and his wife, Nettie, was pregnant with their first child. In August of that year, Dorsey traveled out of town to St. Louis to attend a National Baptist convention, where he was scheduled to perform and promote gospel music. While Dorsey was away, tragedy struck, and without warning. During childbirth, there were complications, and medical care at the time was limited, especially for Black families. Nettie and the baby boy died during labor. He buried them together. Friends later recalled that Dorsey was inconsolable. He questioned God. He wept uncontrollably. He could not reconcile his faith with the pain he was experiencing. He had devoted his music to the Lord, yet God had allowed this suffering. For a time, Dorsey walked away from music entirely. The piano that had once been his livelihood and his ministry now felt unbearable to touch. Precious Lord was not written immediately in the moment of shock. It emerged after silence, after numbness, after grief had settled into his bones. Dorsey later explained that he felt completely empty, unable to pray in normal words. His theology did not disappear, but it was stripped of ornament. What remained was a single plea. When Dorsey finally sat at the piano again, he did not begin with music theory or structure. He began with a cry. The words came slowly, almost as prayer rather than composition. Precious Lord, take my hand. Lead me on. Let me stand. I am tired. I am weak. I am worn. When he wrote, through the night, through the storm, lead me on to the light. He was not speaking metaphorically. His world had grown dark. He was asking God simply to guide him through the next step, the next breath, the next day. The most revealing line comes at the end. Take my hand, precious Lord, lead me home. For some, home sounds like heaven. For Dorsey, it also meant emotional survival. He was asking God not only to lead him ultimately to eternal rest, but to lead him back to a place where life was livable again. Dorsey never claimed that writing the song healed his grief. What it did was give his grief a place to go. Instead of turning away from God, he turned towards him with nothing left but need. That is what gives the hymn its lasting power. It is a wounded believer placing his hand into God's hand because he cannot stand alone anymore. That is why people sing it at funerals. That is why it's carried the weight of the civil rights movement. That is why it still works when sermons fail. And that is also why, nearly a century later, when people are too tired to pray, too broken to explain, and too weak to pretend, they still find themselves whispering the same plea.